What if the limits you've always believed about yourself were never real? What if the invisible ceiling you thought was holding you down was nothing more than a story you agreed to live by? Imagine this: two students sit in a classroom. Teacher hands back the exams. One sees the red mark of failure and thinks, "I'm not smart enough. I'm just not cut out for this." The other sees the same grade and thinks, "I need to try harder. What can I do differently next time?" Same event. Two completely different lives begin to unfold. This is not just about exams. It's about how we face love, career, talent, and life itself. And it all comes down to one word: mindset. Carol Dweck spent decades uncovering the invisible force behind success and failure. Her work revealed a secret so profound, it changes the way we see effort, struggle, and even identity. She discovered that people generally fall into two mindsets. One, the fixed mindset. The belief that our intelligence, our abilities, our personality are carved in stone. The other, the growth mindset. The belief that our basic qualities are things we can cultivate through effort, strategies, and help from others. The difference may sound subtle, but in reality, it's the line between stagnation and transformation. The fixed mindset whispers that failure defines you, that talent is destiny, that effort is a sign of weakness. In this world, you are forever proving yourself, trying to show that you are smart, attractive, successful, enough. But the growth mindset lives in a different universe. It thrives on challenge. It understands that failure is not a verdict, but a step. That effort is not shameful, but noble. It says you are not a finished product, you are unfinished potential. Think about your own life for a moment. How many times have you avoided doing something new because you feared looking foolish? How many times have you quietly decided, "I'm just not that type of person"? These silent decisions shape us. They decide whether we take risks, whether we dare to grow, whether we ever become who we could be. Carol Dweck's research shows us that the most successful people, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, students, are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who embrace failure, learn, and keep going. Their mindset becomes their superpower. She tells the story of children given puzzles to solve. Some finished quickly and asked for easier ones. They didn't want to risk looking bad. Others leaned forward, eager for harder challenges. One child exclaimed with delight, "I love a good challenge." Which child do you think will thrive not just in school but in life? This is the dividing line. Fixed mindset avoids. Growth mindset leans in. But the truth is, none of us are entirely fixed or entirely growth. We all carry a mix inside us. Perhaps in your career you have a growth mindset. You believe in learning and improving. But in relationships, you may hold a fixed mindset. You'll fear you'll never be good enough or lovable enough, so you shut down. The challenge is to become aware, to notice where the fixed voice is holding us back. In schools, Dweck discovered a shocking pattern. Students praised for being smart became afraid to take risks, terrified of failure. But students praised for effort grew braver, more resilient, more curious. When the spotlight is on proving intelligence, learning shrinks. When the spotlight is on growing intelligence, learning explodes. Imagine what this means for a parent, a teacher, or even for how you speak to yourself in the mirror. Every word we say either cements us into a fixed story or frees us into growth. Nowhere is this more vivid than in sports. Think of Michael Jordan. When people hear his name, they think of raw talent, natural greatness. But Jordan was famously cut from his high school team. Most would have given up. Instead, he turned the rejection into fuel. He practiced relentlessly, driven not by a need to prove talent, but by an obsession with improving, said. "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Jordan was not a prisoner of a fixed mindset. He lived in the arena of growth. Contrast that with athletes who relied only on natural ability. Many peak early, then collapse when challenges intensify. Why? Because in a fixed mindset, effort feels like an admission of inadequacy. If you were truly talented, you wouldn't need to work so hard, so the fixed voice says. But the growth mindset flips the script. Effort is the path to mastery. The more you sweat, the stronger you get. The more you struggle, the more you grow. This doesn't just live in classrooms or stadiums, it lives in the human heart. Consider relationships. With a fixed mindset, you may believe that people either are or aren't meant to be together, that love should be effortless, and when challenges appear, it must mean something is broken. But with a growth mindset, you see love as a journey. Conflicts are opportunities to learn, missteps are lessons, and effort deepens intimacy. Which version of love survives? The one that grows. Carol Dweck also reveals how organizations themselves carry mindsets. A company with a fixed culture praises the star performers, hides mistakes, and fears disruption. Innovations. But a company with a growth culture celebrates experimentation, treats failure as data, and invests in learning. Think of companies that reinvent themselves again and again: Apple, Amazon, Netflix. They thrive not because they avoid mistakes, but because they adapt. Growth is in their DNA. But here's the most liberating truth of all. You are not stuck with your current mindset. Mindset itself can change. Dweck's research shows that when people learn about the growth mindset, when they see that intelligence and talent can be developed, they begin to shift. Students improve their grades, athletes push through slumps. Leaders transform their teams. The brain is malleable, what scientists call neuroplasticity. Effort and practice literally rewire us. Our mindset is not a prison, it is a choice. Still, the fixed mindset is cunning. It doesn't vanish overnight. It lurks in our thoughts. You hear it when you say, "I'm just not good at math," or "I could never be a leader," or "This always happens to me." That is the voice of fixed identity. But in those very moments, you have a decision. You can accept the verdict, or you can challenge it. You can say instead, "I'm not good at math yet," or "I don't know how to lead yet." That small word "yet" becomes a bridge to growth. Think about Thomas Edison. Thousands of failed experiments before the light bulb finally worked. To a fixed mindset, those were humiliations. To Edison, they were steps. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Imagine the audacity of such a perspective. This is the power of growth mindset in its purest form, the courage to see failure as progress. The irony is that the fixed mindset promises safety, but delivers fragility. It tells you to avoid risks, so you won't fail. But by avoiding risks, you fail by default. You never stretch, never discover, never live fully. The growth mindset, by contrast, asks you to risk, to fail, to learn, and in doing so, you expand into the fullness of life. Let us make this personal. Ask yourself, where in your life are you playing small because you fear failure? Where are you hiding behind the shield of talent instead of stepping into the fire of effort? Where are you letting the fixed voice dictate the script of your story? The truth is, you are more capable, more resilient, more unfinished than you realize. Carol Dweck closes her book with a simple but powerful reminder: mindset is not about being smarter or stronger than others. It is about being willing to learn, willing to grow, willing to see yourself not as a finished product, but as a work in progress. The most extraordinary people are not those born with genius, but those humble enough to keep improving, to keep evolving. So here is the invitation, starting today. Notice your mindset. When you stumble, listen to the story you tell yourself. Is it fixed, or is it growth? When someone else succeeds, do you feel threatened or inspired? When faced with a challenge, do you shrink, or do you lean in? These micro moments decide the shape of our lives. Remember, the future does not belong to those who avoid failure. It belongs to those who use failure. The future does not belong to those who already are. It belongs to those who are becoming. Talent may open the door, but mindset decides whether you walk through. So what will you choose? To live inside the cage of fixed identity, or to step into the ever-expanding horizon of growth? Every great journey begins with a single choice, and this is yours. If this message resonates with you, don't let it remain just words. Live it, share it, teach it. And if you're ready to keep growing with you, subscribe, because here we explore not just knowledge, but transformation. The next chapter of your story begins not tomorrow, but now.